Hello everyone, how's it going today? Alright, I got a real simple, real quick and easy video idea here for you today. A 1 hour, unbroken, uncut, skilling on 12 accounts. This is what the game looks like for me playing most of the days. So, we've got the 10 free-to-play boys here. We're at the Corsair resource area. There's the Ultimate Iron Man account, working on the 70 crafting grind currently at the Alcarid mine. And then finally there is my Iron Man account here, which is going to be de-ironed, and it's going to become an unranked group Iron Man. Because I had two clanmates, two friends of mine, they also have Iron Man accounts with some progress, and so we decided let's join forces. Anyway, I'm going to throw a timer up on screen, and we're going to get into this 1 hour session. I'll speed it up for you guys, and I'll just give some input on everything after the fact. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys here so you don't have to watch an entire 1 hour of skilling. That would be way too boring now, wouldn't it? We're going to speed it up 6x, so that's going to turn this 1 hour into 10 minutes. And I'm just going to talk over it a little bit, talk about some EXP rates and whatnot. So the Foundry account in the top left, right off the beginning. This is the account that we put in the top left generally because it's the one that I'm looking at the most, it's the one that requires the most attention, and this is something that I do with a lot of my accounts most of the time. That's where you start reading a page out of a book from, so it's just the first place that I look on my screen to check, hey, what's this guy doing? And in a minigame like Giant's Foundry where you can actually mess up and there's a lot of detriment to that, it's quite important that you're keeping a close eye on that Foundry account. Below it we have the Ultimate Iron Man, who is going back and forth between the Alcarid mine, mining an inventory of silver, and running to the Alcarid furnace to then smelt the silver into bars and furthermore craft them into tiaras. This gives you mining XP, smithing XP, and crafting XP. However, we're only really after the crafting XP, given that the XP in the other two skills is not really that good. The crafting XP is extremely helpful though, because we're on the grind towards 70 crafting to create the Amulet of Power, which is the best in slot free-to-play amulet. Finally, we have the free-to-play boys. They are all woodcutting maples at the Corsair Cove resource area. I was getting bird's nest drops during this, the clue nests for beginner clues. However, I neglected to pick them up during this 1 hour sample cut because, well, I didn't really want to get my inventory bogged down with clues, and I also wasn't really all that interested in doing them as part of my 1 hour. I wanted to mainly just focus on getting all of the XP in the stats that I could, and thus, after the 1 hour was up, I could compare all of my XP rates to maybe the meta XP rates, or at least the efficient hours played XP rates. Looking back at the Giant's Foundry account, a couple of things that I like to do for Giant's Foundry to just help with multilogging it. I actually play with my game sounds on just this account. I don't have the music on, but I like to have the character sounds and surround sounds on, because you can hear the actions being performed in the Giant's Foundry. When you bring your sword over to the trip hammer, you hear a smashing noise. When you bring it over to the grinding wheel, you hear a grinding noise. When you bring it over to the polishing wheel, you hear a, polishing noise. I've gone ahead and counted the number of actions I need during each production step of making the sword. And so I know every time, given that I'm going to be making the same sword for a long time and many of the same one over and over, I know each time I make a sword it's going to be, I believe, 13 smashes with the trip hammer, 24 grinds on the grinding wheel, and 25 polishes on the polishing wheel. I might be off on those numbers because as I'm recording this commentary, it's actually been a couple days later and I don't really remember. I actually haven't been at the foundry for a couple days. So definitely playing with the sounds on helps a lot. I'm doing 19 steel and 9 mithril alloys currently. Because the account's an Iron Man, I don't really have access to better resources than that yet, at least not in bulk, so that's what we're doing. The account at the end of the 1 hour ended up with 115.7k smithing XP. Unfortunately, I didn't track the amount of foundry reputation, nor did I track the GP in the bank beforehand. You get both of these as well. However, I'm pretty sure that my foundry rep ended up being somewhere between 12 and 1400, and as per GP, I think I end up making somewhere in the realm of 15 to 20k GP for every one of these swords. As far as Foundry goes, I quite like the minigame. I think it's an incredible addition to the game. In 2023, I believe, was when we got Giant's Foundry, and I think that the game is absolutely better for it. It's a really good alternative to smithing, and in my opinion, it fixes a lot of the gripe I have with the relationship between mining XP and smithing XP. For those of you who have either played free-to-play Iron Man or just have ever looked at the numbers, it takes an absolutely absurd amount of mining XP worth of resources to train your smithing. If you were to simply mine every ore that you wanted towards 99, stockpile all of these ores, and then try to get 99 smithing, you would not even be close. You get much less smithing XP per resource than the mining XP it took you to mine them. Foundry fixes this in a lot of ways because as much as the XP rate is very slow, at least slow compared to some of the high-level anvil smithing with bars, it allows you to produce a lot more total XP out of much fewer resources, thus balancing out the relationship between mining and smithing a lot better. I think this is absolutely an A+ minigame for old school RuneScape. As much as people complain about the issues of messing up your sword and then having to lose a bunch of XP rate because you messed up your sword, and it just feels bad because now you have to finish a sword that you know is not going to be getting you the full potential of what it's worth. So that's definitely a downside of the minigame, and I can understand people's gripes with that. All in all, though, I really like Giant's Foundry, and I don't really have much more to say about it, I guess. As for the Ultimate Iron Man account, mining at the Alchemid Mine, this is a strategy that I used a number of years ago on my Hive Mind accounts. I don't know how many people watched that series back then, but when I was getting my 43 crafting on all 8 of the Hive Mind accounts, I used this method. It's really good for Ultimate Iron Man particularly because it doesn't require you to teleport around anywhere, doesn't require a ton of more inventory slots, doesn't require a ton of resource input. The law runes that I have in the inventory are simply to complete the occasional beginner clue scroll, but they're not actually necessary for the mining method whatsoever, so you can do this and have 27 slots for silver ore, and not just 26 like I am. I hold on to the law runes though, so that every time I get a beginner clue, I can conveniently teleport to Varrock and buy all the other elemental runes necessary to teleport around the game, so that I can complete the beginner clue as quickly as possible. To me, this is a worthwhile trade-off, and 26 inventory slots instead of 27 is good enough for me. During this 1-hour session on the Ultimate Iron Man, I was able to gain 6,920 experience in mining, 2,124 experience in smithing, and 8,138 experience in crafting. Now, I'm not really sure how close this is to the efficient hours played meta amount of XP, I guess, so to speak, that you're expected to get when doing this activity with full efficiency. This is the account that generally ends up standing around the most. I try to focus progress on the Ultimate Iron Man the least, given that it's not really an account that's incredibly important to me as of right now. The 10 free-to-play boys are, well, I'm trying to make the Mastering Free-to-Play series on them, so they need to progress. And the Group Iron Man account is, well, a Group Iron Man. I have other people that I have told, hey, yeah, I'm interested in this, and I'm going to keep up progress. So it's not just about me, it's also about doing right by them. They don't want a deadweight teammate, so generally the Ultimate Iron Man ends up falling as my least priority account to try to get efficient training on. Finally, we have the Maple Woodcutters. I gotta say, forestry absolutely revolutionized woodcutting, at least in my opinion. The forestry updates, if I'm not mistaken, the two biggest factors of the forestry update and why they are so game-changing for multiloggers is A, the forestry boost between accounts when cutting the same tree, and the removal of, let's say, competition for logs, right? The trees don't cut down faster now that you have 10 players cutting them. In fact, you even get a woodcutting boost. So it literally incentivizes, not multi-logging, but at least woodcutting together. However, for a multi-logger like myself with 10 accounts, and there being a 10 account limit to the forestry boost, this is absolutely perfect. And the other thing that forestry added was the bonfires update. When I was training my Hive Mind accounts and many of my other alts back when I was making PVM accounts for corping and whatnot, Fire making used to be a one fire at a time kind of deal. It was one click, or 2 clicks rather, for one fire. You had to light lines of fires, and that was generally speaking the only way to train the skill. So having the access to bonfires and the woodcutting boost with accounts cutting the same tree has completely revolutionized this training method, at least in free-to-play. Mathing out the XP that we got on all the free-to-play boys, it averaged out to 23,400 woodcutting XP, averaged across the 10 accounts. Some got more, some got less. And 9,768 fire-making XP. You get a lot less fire-making XP when it comes to lighting bonfires as opposed to lighting fires one log at a time. However, the AFK element of it and being able to feed a bonfire on all 10 accounts at the same time with just one click, it's really unmatched, and it's absolutely more efficient to just do your 99 woodcutting. Maybe you'll only get about 90 odd fire making, and then I'll probably just have to buy the rest of the logs that I would need for 99 should I go that route someday. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. A nice quick and easy video here. I don't know if this was something that y'all were interested in, but this was something that I wanted to do just to show you what an hour of gameplay looks like for someone like me playing so many accounts. So keep your eyes open for some future content. I'm thinking maybe a PK video coming out here at some point. Obviously, there's the free-to-play series, and we're going to be working towards that. Drop a like and a follow, a subscribe, whatever, if you enjoyed the content. That would mean a lot to me. That'd be really great. And have a great day, everyone. Peace.